If you're autistic, let me know if you experience the following symptoms: intense emotional and sometimes physical reaction to real or perceived rejection, criticism, or disapproval. This reaction is often immediate and may come with feelings of pain, shame, anxiety, or self-criticism. I'm describing rejection sensitive dysphoria, otherwise known as RSD. In full disclosure, I relate to this very strongly as an autistic person. A little bit of a disclaimer with this term: RSD is not recognised as a formal diagnosis, just so you know. And then there is this. Rejection sensitive dysphoria may look or feel like the following: overwhelming physical pain at perceived rejection, emotional overwhelm or shutdown, fear of disappointing others, perfectionism or people-pleasing, strong feelings of shame, reassurance seeking, replaying and feeling deeply distressed by perceived mistakes, aka rumination. I don't know about how you went with this list, but apart from the first one, I relate very strongly to all of these. There's a few reasons why I wanted to put my 2 cents worth in and talk about this. Number one, this was originally associated with ADHD. And that's, if you look it up, most of the videos out there and most people talking about it, it's related to ADHD. And that's, they all experience that. Now, with autistic people, we also experience it, but because it was initially coined by an expert on ADHD, that's where it sort of started and where people talk about it. And the other side of the coin of this, I had a recent experience, which I'll vaguely share. I don't really want to get into the details of it, but really highlighted how involuntary it can feel, how it's incredibly debilitating to have this. And it can be so frustrating because if you watch any of my other videos, you'll see a common theme that I will describe a problem, I'll describe things that are autistic things, but then I usually provide some kind of a solution or a way that we can do, something we can do differently to take the power in our hands so that we're not left in the hands of neurotypical people, and for them to understand and for them to do things differently. That's how the theme of most of my videos go. Because I've tried the other way. I've tried trying to get other people to do things differently and they just tend not to. And rather than being disappointed and constantly expecting to do things differently to suit me or to help me, that's why I adopt what can I do? What things can I change? What skills can I learn and use to help me on a daily basis? That's why I have an interest in psychology, I have an interest in different kinds of therapy, but learning about boundaries and implementing and using these things, learning even about relationship therapy, even all of these kind of things. The other reason I wanted to talk about it is that when I look at my videos, I look at what I've filmed and what I've said and the way I come across on camera, I can very much come across like I've got my shit together. And if you knew the truth, you'd be horribly shocked. I've had some massive ups and downs. Maybe another video, I'll go into that. But coming full circle, what am I talking about today? I had a recent experience where somebody relatively close to me all of a sudden lashed out at me unexpectedly. And just so you know, if it was somebody that I knew, I didn't think very much of, the same reaction wouldn't have happened. If some person I barely know or someone I know and don't particularly like was rude to me or tries to say that it doesn't work, I've usually got some comeback or some way to belittle them in return, or there's all these things that I've learned over the years and how to deal with bullies. But for me, my weakness, unfortunately, is people that I trust or people that I like. And usually sometimes these people will creep under the radar. I think they're one kind of person, and then they lash out. And whether it's to do with drugs or not, or alcohol, if I know someone's like that, I will avoid them. Just a very short story before I get into this is years ago, I used to train with this guy. He was really, really nice. And he got along with everyone. I got along with him great. He came around to my house and, he was a really good bloke. But then one day he told me this story about how he'd been out drinking and described getting angry. But then he divulged that's what he's like when he drinks. And I just instantly went, okay, I decided I'm not going to hang around with you at all. And so, as I say, look, yes, I know that's alcohol related, but that, people drink in Australia, so the chances of that happening are quite high. That was my childhood growing up. You'll see a pattern here. But the same thing, if I know somebody tends to be nice, and then they lash out me or other people, I just tend to just not want to hang around them or be friends with them or anything like that. So people slip under the radar when they're nice. And look, someone being a little bit rude or whatever, it doesn't really bother me, but when they get very personal and they attack something that I'm doing, like, it really gets through. And I'm trying to stay on point here. You might see that I'm a little bit struggling to make this video podcast. And this incident was incredibly disappointing to me because I work very hard at myself and improving myself. And like I said, about how the theme of my video is what that is like. And I apply that in my own life. I take it to heart. And yeah, I do see small improvements every day. My partner reports this to me as well. But then something like this, it just can make you feel like that you've just gone backwards so much, and that you've made no progress, and left wondering, the rumination thing I talked about before, what could I have done differently? How could I have avoided this? And what could I have said? And all of these things. Because of my abusive childhood, that's what I think I'm really good at seeing when people are escalating. If you mention whatever it is, a subject, you say something, I see micro expressions, even if I don't mean to. And I go, oh, okay, they didn't like that, so I just tend to avoid it. Unless it's someone I hate, then I'll do it on purpose to piss them off. But someone I like or someone I respect, I'll see these little micro expressions and these reactions. I go, oh, okay, they don't like me talking about that. I'll just avoid that. But this person didn't give me any of that, weirdly. I didn't see it. And then it was a subject that I'd brought up a few times very briefly. But then when they decided to have a go at me for it, it was, of course, that I do it all the time. And it was explained in a way that made it sound like I went on about this subject, whereas I would just go, oh, this thing. Moving on. It was as quick as that. And then moving on to the solutions, what are you supposed to do? Because I hear people talk about rumination, and in my case, I know I do that because I'm literally looking for a solution. I'm literally trying to understand what went wrong and how to do things differently. And in the ADHD community, they talk about medications that for actually dealing with this, which due to my circumstances, it can't work for me. I can't take any of the medications. But here was another revelation. I'm in therapy now, especially when you're a foreigner in another country. It can be helpful to see somebody who is actually a specialist in that, not just a therapist, but somebody who is a foreigner themselves in Finland and can help me navigating these issues that you're inevitably going to face. And when I told her about this situation in detail, which I haven't told you in detail, but in detail, she made an interesting observation. Now, I say this is interesting because she's not an expert on autism. It was just an outside observation as somebody who has autistic clients, including me. And what she said was that, oh, that's interesting because, autistic people try to be good. I asked her to elaborate, and she said that we are well-behaved, try to be good, masking, people-pleasing, all of that stuff. So it for us, it can be a huge shock. When we're doing that, we're trying to be nice and doing everything to keep everyone happy, and then they're still not happy. And this is another thing too. It seems very obvious to me how RSD is, what causes it. It seems really obvious from looking at my own life and looking at other people who suffer from it. From the things that they say, it's because of trauma. Whether it be that you've been constantly criticised by somebody when you were a child, or bullied, and all of these things, but consistently over time. And so coming back to solutions, because I think, I don't know about for you, think about how this would be helpful to you. Seems to me the bit I need to address is the Mr. Nice Guy thing that I always do, the trying to be nice, trying to be good, like the therapist said. And systematically, because, if you hear people talk about stop doing something, it's not so simple. But that's what dawned on me, because another person associated with the one I was just talking about had been ostracising me, let's just say, for quite some years, and I've just politely nodded along and not said anything, trying to not be the bad guy, not calling them out for it, and just blatantly having conversations in front of me in Finnish in a way to exclude me. Because you think about it, if you're having a conversation and there's two other people there, whatever it is you're talking about, generally, no matter what language, people will include the people that are standing right there. It's not generally acceptable to have two people come up to them and then just start talking to one of them and leaving the other person out. And this particular person would do this systematically at every interaction, and they would do it even other things where they'd be very affectionate to my partner and just ignore me. And this is not the same person that lashed out at me, because if that person did it, the reaction wouldn't have been the same, because I don't think very much of them. But the point is, this is the thing about the trying to be nice. That's what this got me. It got me all of these years of just letting this person walk all over me. For me, trying to keep the peace, trying to not upset the apple cart. Terribly afraid that if I dared to say something to this person, pull them up and say, are you trying, is this what you're trying to do? Well, there's so many things I could have said and haven't for those reasons. And I look back now and go, that was a waste of time. It didn't get me anywhere. All it got me is frustrated and set me up for failure, really. And the other solution that many of us come up with subconsciously or otherwise is, well, just don't hang around with people and don't make friends and all that sort of stuff. Now, I wouldn't suggest that would be a way to go, because the less you hang out with people, the less interactions you have, the less skillful you're going to be at maintaining or having any kind of relationships. And if you're relating to any of this stuff I've said, you'll understand how it can really just send you to ground. It's a term we use in Australia. It could just knock you for a six, cricketing term. It could, you know what I mean? It can make things really, really difficult. And, you can spend weeks trying to recover from just one of these events. And as I said, I have thought the same thing. Oh, why do I bother with people? Why do I bother being nice and all that stuff? And I'm trying to think of a healthy middle ground there of just not just simple as saying better boundaries, but also calling out bad behaviour. But like I said before that about the Mr. Nice Guy trying to be good, I think that's the way forward for me and probably for most autistic people. I am interested in your thoughts on this. If you're watching this and you're autistic, it's pretty likely you experience the same thing. And yeah, I'm interested in your thoughts and your struggles about this. So take care out there.